Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the C.R. Lawrence number OP121NHA. This is a Cowanir type intermediate pivot. It's a fairly simple item, and let me show it to you now. It's going to be comprised of 4 different components. You're going to have the mounting plate, and that's going to go inside the frame, and the frame portion will bolt to this. You're going to have the indeed the frame portion, and by the way, the NH stands for non-handed. This can be completely reversed. This cap that's here just pops off, and you can put it on the other side. Not a problem. Then you have the door portion. No need to change that around at all. That will just mount either way. Okay. Then you have the screw package. 2 screws for the frame portion, 2 screws for the door portion. Now, let's go over it. This pivot is a bit confusing, I suppose, when you look at it. At least the first time I looked at it, it was slightly confusing. An intermediate pivot like this is going to be used as an option in a Cowanir sort of installation. The option is where you've got a higher than average volume of use on the door. Quite frankly, intermediate pivots should be always used without exception, but they are not always used without exception. They will help bear the load of the door and will do so in such a way that will help relieve the bottom pivot of doing all of the job of carrying the load of the door. Now let's take a look at it. So the frame portion is going to go to the frame, obviously, and you're going to cut a preparation, provided that you're doing a new installation. You'll cut a preparation for this, and this little shoulder back here will butt to the face of the frame, the 1 3/4 dimension or whatever the face of the aluminum frame is. The backing plate will, of course, first gone in. You're going to drill, you're going to mark, drill, and slightly countersink the holes to hold the bracket into the frame, and the frame portion will literally slide right in. Now that's not exactly flush between the edge, the mounting plate, and the face of the pivot, and that little area there just accounts for the wall thickness of the aluminum frame. So that's what the unit will look like when it's attached to the frame, or at least the frame portion. The door portion will sit like this. Now from your perspective, you're looking at what would be a left-hand reverse door, or from my perspective, a right-hand or left-hand reverse. But the door is going to sit in here, and the door is going to swing out this way. This top portion, or the door portion, will mimic and look the bottom portion, door portion, and the top door portion as well. Okay. Now, to reverse this, literally pull that cap out, turn this over, drop that there, then the cap goes back in. Now you're looking at the opposite-handed door. Now you're looking at a right-hand reverse door, assuming you're on the outside is what I mean to say. Okay. The 4 screws that you get, 2 of them will obviously be for here. The other 2 will be for attaching to the face of the door. And when it's in the closed position, the door, you have no way to access the head of those screws whatsoever. Okay. Now, let me give you some dimensional properties of the pivot in case you're trying to match an existing. You may not have a name on the door. You may not know what a Cowanir type looks like, but the dimensions will help. Let's start with the part that you may not need to know. The overall height of the mounting plate is 4 7/16. Overall width, about 1 7/16. Center line of the screws for the mounting look like it's about 2 13/16. Horizontal center line of the mounting screws for the door portion look to be about 7/8 of an inch. Okay. Not sure the thread type of that. Could be 12/24 is what it could be. That could be a typical hinge screw. Don't quote me on that. The door portion width, about 1 5/16. The overall height, about 2 1/4. Its projection, about 1 3/16. And you've got that stud that's going to, insert into the top portion. Projection of that, about 7/8 of an inch. Now the frame portion. And by the way, this is a 3/4 inch offset. That's measured from the face of the door, what would be the face of the door, to the center line of the pivot point. Let's do the frame portion. The height of it, 1.7 inches. The width from the underside of the shoulder is about 1.9 inches. Okay. Overall, well, the height we've given, and overall width about 2 3/4 inch. Then you've got just your package of screws. That's all there is to it. Not a very common intermediate pivot for us to sell, and I think it's because they don't exist originally that often. And when they and newer sorts of installations where there's high volume, they'll be going with a continuous hinge in the later years, or maybe just ball bearing hinges as a result. But pivots, a lot of people like them because they're architecturally pleasing. I recommend, if you're doing a new installation or ordering aluminum storefront doors, go with an intermediate pivot. It will give you a significantly longer lasting sort of installation to your door. Pivot hardware is very inexpensive, and what I mean by that is, well, it's inexpensive to replace in terms of the hardware, but a set of hardware that's going to hang a door, that's going to get outrageous, overwhelming use over the lifespan, should not be as inexpensive as maybe a week of going to to your favorite coffee shop. And to me, that infers that it's not of significant quality, and that they are, by design, something that is built in to be replaced. So I like intermediate pivots because they greatly extend the life of the opening prior to a replacement. If you have any questions on the Sierra Lawrence, whose name is synonymous with aluminum storefront hardware, not only that, of course, but shower door hardware like hinges, gaskets, push and pull stuff, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up the full line Sierra Lawrence product offering that we have on our website, but then also above there, all of the individual subsections of all the Sierra Lawrence catalogs. When it pertains to this hardware, I think you'll be looking at a link called Architectural Hardware is what it would be called, and it's probably in other catalog sections as well, like storefront store is what it's called, at least currently. Any questions on the OP121NHA aluminum intermediate pivot for Kiwanier type doors or any other Sierra Lawrence product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.